Hey, it's good to see you. I am leaving the post office and headed to Goodwill. It's a Goodwill that's a good ways from here. So, somebody asked me, I think it was on here, this channel, not my other channel. Just totally unrelated. I just remembered some guy commented on this channel a couple of days ago and said, you need to be more appreciative of the people who comment on your videos, or you're not going to make it on YouTube. You're not going to last. Like, you are aware this is not like my real channel, and I've been doing this shit for 7 years on another channel. Maybe he didn't know that. I don't know. But he felt that it was a helpful hint to tell me that I needed to be more appreciative. And I do appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I'm not really sure what prompted that comment. Don't know why he said that. I'm not really sure what he thought I needed to be doing, but I'm not doing it, whatever the hell it is. But I better watch it, or I'm not ever gonna make it on here. I'm not gonna make it. Seeing as how it started as a hobby, I don't really know that I would have ever been concerned about that, but he felt the need to tell me that. Anyway, somebody, and I do believe it was in a comment on here, somebody wanted me to make a video about regret. How do you deal with regret? Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. And I want to say up front, I do believe regret is one of the things that all humans have in common. And I believe it is one of the things that makes us all kind of the same. And we can relate to one another more so than you might think. I do believe we live in a time when we are being actively divided up, and we are being made to believe that we are each other's enemy. We are not. But I think there are, maybe somebody out there stands to gain from breaking us all up and making us hate each other. Just a thought. But we are all a lot more alike than we are different. And we have a lot in common. We all have hopes for the future. We have fears. We go through good times. We go through bad times. We are a lot more alike than we are different. And people all over the world are that way. It doesn't matter. We are a lot more alike than we are different. And I think a lot of people have lost sight of that. And they have decided that people are their enemies who really aren't. Anyway, everybody has regrets, whether they'll ever say it out loud or not. Unless you're like a sociopath or a psychopath, everybody has regrets. Everybody has something from their past that they think back on and regret, whether they'll admit it out loud or talk about it or not. I'd be willing to bet we all have at least one regret that we don't talk about, that we would just rather not talk about for whatever reason. I know I do. I regret things that just like personal stuff that I don't want to talk about. I think everybody has that too. So I think the first thing you need to think about when you think about your regrets, you need to remember we're all with you. We are all with you. All 7+ billion of us are with you on that. Everybody knows what that feels like. To look back on something and just kind of wince, just, oh man, you have that. It's like a bruise on your soul that just never quite goes away. That's the best way I know of to describe it. Like I can feel it. Like it's like a bruise, and it's just never gonna go away. It's like once you get a bruise on an apple, it's not gonna heal. It's not ever gonna go away. So the first thing to remember is everybody has regrets. It's not just you. So don't feel like, there's something wrong with you, like you're defective or something. No, we are all in this together. Please just remember that. That to me makes me feel a little bit better, because it's just part of being human. It's just part of being a human being. We all do things or say things, or we participate in things, or what you make decisions that later you think, yeah, that was not the best thing I could have done. or I should have done that and I didn't, and now I feel bad about it. Also, I want to say, it's easy to say, don't ruminate on it. Don't sit around stewing over it, because I've done that. Don't beat yourself up too much. And it's really hard not to, I know, because I've been there too. I will beat myself up like, oh, why did I say that? Or why didn't I say this? Or why didn't I intervene? Or, I will think back to stuff just like, I could have handled that better than I did. Why? Well, think about this now. Hindsight is 20/20, which if you've heard that saying and you don't know what that means, it means looking back, it's really easy to see things in perspective more so than when you're right in the middle of it, if that makes any sense. When you're right in the middle of something, sometimes you really don't see the grand scheme of things, because you can't be objective. You cannot look at things objectively when you're right in the middle of it. It's kind of like, imagine you're inside a snow globe. I don't know why this just popped into my head. Imagine you're in a snow globe, right? You are in the middle of the snow globe. All you're going to see is that whirling fake snow stuff, and the whatever is right in the middle. It's going to be right in your face, or that glitter or whatever's swirling around in there. You're not going to have the same perspective of it as somebody standing on the outside of it, looking at it on the outside. You will not have the ability to see it properly when you're in the middle of it. If that helps. That just popped into my head. It just made me think of that. Okay, you at the time, whatever the thing is you regret, I would be willing to bet that whatever you did or whatever you decided based on the information you had at the time, and you might not have had all the information at the time. Maybe you thought you did, but you didn't. You thought you were making the right choice, whatever your choice was. You thought this was the best way to handle it, whatever that is. So you did at the time what you thought was best. You don't have the gift of foresight, so you can't see the future. Wouldn't that be great though if you could? That would be very useful. You don't have that. I don't have that. I don't think most people have it unless you're like a superhero or something. You don't know what the future's going to hold. You don't know. You can make an educated guess, but you don't know. Nobody does. So just remember, think back. Did you do what you thought was best at the time? If the answer is yes, how can you be mad at yourself now for doing what you thought at the time was the right thing to do? Because that's how I like to look at it. Was at the time, based on the information I had, based on what I believed to be true, I decided to do these things or say these things. I thought I was doing the right thing, but turns out I wasn't. But I did not know that at the time. So don't lose sight of that. When you think back on it, feel the pain of regret, but also remember that you did what you thought was right. If you did indeed do what you thought was right, or if you found a way to rationalize it in some way, keep that in mind too. Did you rationalize this decision? Did you decide that you were going to find a way to make it right in your mind? Because I've rationalized things that I've done too, but it doesn't necessarily make them right, and I did regret it later. So just remember that. And another good thing about regret, and I do this in my own life, regret is an opportunity to change yourself. Take that. It's a lesson. It's a lesson to be learned. The universe is giving you a gift if you choose to take it. You can take the information from that experience and use it in the future. You might find yourself in a similar situation in the future. Now think back to how you handled it before. Are you going to handle it the same way? Because I've known people, and I've done it myself, who just keep making the same mistakes over and over and over. They make to the point where it's a choice. It's not a mistake anymore. If you keep doing it, it is a conscious choice that you are making to do. You can't keep calling it a mistake if you keep doing it. Yeah, at some point it becomes a choice, not a mistake. It's not a whoops, I've done that for the 7th time in a row, whoops. No, you decided to do that. If you keep making bad decisions, you are going to keep piling up regrets in your life. And I tell you, I don't know about you, but I don't want more regrets. I don't want more. I want to try to not incur as many going forward. So look back on what you did or said or didn't do or didn't say, and think about it. Just think about it. I know it's not comfortable. You don't want to think about it, but think about it, because this can be useful for you. Think about it. All right. So I did A and I regret it, and I think I should have done B. All right. You may find yourself in a similar situation in the future. Are you going to do A again? Are you going to be tempted to do it again? You're going to have to stop and think before you make a decision next time. And sometimes before making decisions, if you just stop and think about it for a minute, it can be very useful. Just ask yourself, is this really the right thing to do? I mean, really, is this the right decision? Or am I about to screw up? I did A last time. Let's don't do it again. And I know that sounds simple, and it is very simplified. But sometimes in life, you will find yourself in a situation again where you have to make that decision again, or something similar to it. So I try to learn from the stuff I do. So that way I get to make new mistakes every time. I get to make different choices. And you know what? It may be that you make a different choice and it ends up again being something you regret. And it could be for a totally different reason. But at least it's a new one. It's a new one. You're not doing the same thing. You made a new mistake. You made a different bad choice based on your information at the time and what you thought was right. You get to learn, well, that also was not the right answer. So, I mean, it sucks, I know, because we like to do, I know for me, I like to do things that are good and productive and, just positive and efficient. I like being efficient. I don't like feeling like I wasted my time by making a mistake. But it's really not a waste of time if you can learn something from it. Can you learn something from this? Well, you can learn something from everything you go through, good or bad. I think especially the bad stuff. You can definitely learn from it. You can start to think about your own weaknesses. For me, I started thinking about like my past. Like when I was in therapy several years ago, I had a wonderful therapist, and we started talking about patterns. And I think patterns in your life are very important to look at when it comes to regrets. Do you have a pattern of behavior that has led to multiple regretful incidents in your life? Well, you might want to go back and try to find the origin of that pattern. And for me, it went back to kind of a dysfunctional childhood and some just family dynamics that kind of set me up for dysfunctional adulthood in a way. Things that I saw as normal growing up led to dysfunction in my adult life and patterns that were not healthy for me or the people in my life. Long story short. And you have to acknowledge and recognize those patterns before you can start to work on them and break that cycle. You can break the cycle and you can learn new things. And you know what? As long as you're breathing, as long as you're alive, you can change. If you want to change, you can. But you also need to remember you can't change other people. Other people are not your responsibility to change. You can't change them. Don't even try. But you can work on yourself. That is something you can do. If you want to change, if you want to change your life, and the trajectory of your life, you absolutely can. I don't care if you're 17 years old or 77 years old. You can do it. As long as you're still above ground, you can totally change. Look at Ebenezer Scrooge in Christmas Carol. You know, he was an older gentleman, and, you know, well, he had 3 spirits come visit him and scare the shit out of him. But hey, he changed. He changed from then on. He was like a different person. And I realize it's just a story, but it's just an example. You can. You do not have to continue living a life that will be filled with regrets. New regrets. You don't. You don't. But you have to look honestly at yourself. You have to be brutally honest with yourself about yourself and accept responsibility for the things that you have done. Do not blame it on other people. You alone are responsible for your behavior. And that is something that a shocking number of people seem to have forgotten in the present day. I don't know why. Nobody wants to accept responsibility for the things they do. But I'm here to tell you now, I'm like your surrogate mom. I will just tell you, you are responsible for what you do. You. Nobody else. You don't get to blame anybody else for what you do or what you decide or what you say. You are responsible. And the great thing about that is you can change it if you want to. So an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Do you want to make changes now so you don't have to deal with as many new regrets in the future? Because if you don't change and you have a lot of bad patterns and bad behaviors, you're going to continue to rack up regrets. You just are. I mean, that's just how it works. You will continue to hurt other people. You will continue to cause problems for others and yourself. You will have more and more and more regrets. I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for you either. So you can change. How do you start? Take an honest look at yourself. Sit down and write down. Start to think. And you can ask other people that will be honest with you. What are my flaws? What is good about me? And what could I work on? And write it down. Make a list. If you have anybody in your life that will be honest with you. Be honest with yourself. Because lying to yourself is not going to benefit anybody. You can kiss your own ass, I guess, if you're really flexible. Don't delude yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Don't do it. If you've done it all your life, you can stop. You can change. You can break that habit. You can break it today, or you can start breaking it today. You have to start with one step. That journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. But you have to be honest with yourself, about yourself. And I know that's not easy, and I know it's definitely not fun. But I once had a very brutally blunt therapist. And I didn't like her at first. I thought she was a bitch because she was very honest. But she forced me to take a good, hard, objective look at myself and the choices I've made in my life and how I have created problems for myself and other people because of the choices I've made. And no, I did not enjoy it. Yes, it pissed me off. Yes, it made me cry, but I needed to do it. And I'm really glad I did. But no, it's not fun. Okay. Work on yourself to prevent new problems. Now, you still have regrets from the past. One thing I have done myself, I have regrets. One thing you can do is try to make amends for those regrets if you can. Some things, there's not a lot you can do to kind of unring that bell. But if you have done somebody wrong, talk to them. Apologize. Try to make amends with that person for what you did or said or didn't do or didn't say. Try to make it right with them. You may be able to, you may not. I will tell you that I made amends with 3 people from my past that I was not very nice to. I'm just leave it at that. I did not treat them with respect as I should have, and I was wrong. And I apologized, and they did accept my apology. Now, there was a 4th person that I apologized to, and they had nothing to say to me. Fair enough. They don't have to accept your apology. They don't. That's up to them. They might not forgive you. They may never forgive you. And you'll have to accept that. That's their choice. But try. Just try. The very act of humbling yourself, because you definitely have to humble yourself to do this. The very fact that you tried, I think, is good for your spirit. I think it was good for mine. I think it was good for me to have that experience. It's not easy. Again, these are not easy things to do. They're not fun. They're not fun. But again, my opinion is a lot of people, especially young people, seem to have gotten the idea that life should never be unpleasant or uncomfortable or hard. And if it ever is, it's like they take it personally and they get angry about it. Like, this shouldn't be. Why am I having to struggle? Why am I having to work? And again, I'm not saying all young people are like that. I know they're not. And I'm Gen X, and there were people in my generation who seemed to feel the same way. Life is not going to be easy and happy and comfortable all the time. Life is challenging. Sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes it's just a pain in the ass, and there's just, you just have to get through it. There are bad things and unfun things you have to do. You just do them anyway. You suck it up and you do it. I don't know what else to tell you. You are not guaranteed to be comfortable and happy and fulfilled at all moments in your life. And it is not other people's job. It is not your employer's job. It's not your parents' job. It's not anybody's job to make sure that you feel comfortable and fulfilled and happy all the time. It is nobody's job, because it's impossible. You will not feel that way all the time. Sometimes you will have to do things that just suck and they're hard. And it may not work. You may seek someone's forgiveness and they just don't give it to you. But at least you can say that you tried. You tried. That's all you can do. If you've done somebody wrong and you apologize and they don't accept it, at least you tried. And I think that's worth something. So try to make amends for the stuff you've done in the past, if you can. If there's anything you can do to make up for it. Kind of like if you ever saw the TV show My Name is Earl. It's a very good show if you've never seen it. It's really funny, but it's got a good message too, where Earl Hickey, the main guy, is being punished by karma for living a life of just doing terrible things to people, and he has to make a list of everything wrong he's done in his life and go back and try to make amends and cross these things off his list. And it's a great show. It's really good. It's one of my favorite shows. Yeah, it's not always fun, but I think it could be very fulfilling to try to go back and fix things that you've messed up. Mistakes that you've made in the past. It can be a good feeling. I think it's good for your soul. I think it will make you feel a little bit more at peace with yourself. I know it did for me. It made me feel better about things to try. And I did make amends with 3 people, and I'm very glad that I did that. I am so glad. And I hope they are too. I don't know. But, so yeah. In closing, because I'm at Goodwill now, just remember, regrets. Everybody has them, whether they talk about it or not. Every human walking around on this planet, if you've lived any amount of time at all, you have done or said something, because life is full of choices. You have to make choices all the time about things. And eventually you're going to make a choice, or you're going to do something or not do something, and it's going to be the wrong thing, or you'll look back later and you will feel that was the wrong way to handle it. That's a sign of growth. If you look back on your past and you don't at least wince a little bit at the way you used to be, you may not have grown or changed much over the years. When you grow and you learn and you become a better person, you do look back and go, oh God, I was an idiot back then. Yeah, well, you didn't know any better. But now you do. You've gained wisdom and experience and knowledge, and that's wonderful. That is wonderful. And you can continue doing that the rest of your life. You don't ever, it's not like you turn 65 and it all just shuts off. No, hell, you can still learn, you can still grow, you can still change. It is never too late for you. Never too late for anybody. So everybody goes through it. Remember that. Remember, think back on how you felt at the time. Did you do what you thought was right at the time? If so, don't beat yourself up too much about it. You did what you thought was right. Let's see, I can't remember all the points I made now. I was just spouting them off the top of my head. Make amends with people that you can. Try to change patterns in your life that might lead to future decisions that will lead to regret. Start to look back, like, do the things I regret, is there a pattern to them? Are they all kind of the same? Am I doing the same thing over and over in different situations causing these regrets? If so, see if that's something you can change. So at least you don't incur new regrets of the same type. Yeah, that's all I know to say about regrets. It's not fun. It is almost like it's physically painful. For me, it's like it just sort of physically hurts to remember. If I feel like I did somebody wrong, I feel bad about it. But if you feel like you have no regrets, like you truly, I don't know what that feels like. And I'm not saying that you don't. There's no way that's possible, but I've never met a person that didn't have regrets. Everybody does. I really believe that. So you're not alone. You're not a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person. It makes you a human. I mean, we all do it. And it's okay, but don't let that excuse you to continue to do regretful things. Like, don't use that as your free pass. Well, I'm human. Humans make mistakes. Yeah, but you also need to learn how to not do that shit again. You need to learn from your mistakes and grow. Don't use it as a pass to keep doing bad things to people or whatever. So, I hope this helped. I feel it was very disjointed. I do apologize. I didn't write any of this down. I just wanted to tell you as it sort of occurred to me. But yes, everybody has regrets, but all is not lost. There are ways to deal with your regrets, and there are ways to prevent new ones. So I hope this helped. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon.